Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the second session of 2 of questions and answers. I'm your host, Amjad Muhammad, and I'll be with you for another 20 odd minutes or so, up till 8 p.m. this evening, inshallah, dealing with your questions, queries, and curiosities. We are allowing or asking you to call on 01274 214299. No, you forgot the number then for a second. 01274 214299, like our young Leicester chappie did before the interval, where he rang and he had 4 questions, which is twice as much as he normally does. We had opportunity, plenty of time, and we have plenty of time now as well, to deal with at least 2 of his queries before we went for a short break. We have 2 of his other queries ready, and we will tackle them after remind you again of the number 01274 214299. Please do get your questions in. I do have my notepad and pen, so I won't forget your question. I'll make a note of it and then come back to it after the 2 questions that the young man put forward have been answered. If you're feeling a little bit shy, a little bit nervous, a little bit camera shy, maybe the voice isn't up to it, a bit like mine, then you can always email on q&a@iqra.tv. That's q&a@iqra.tv. We do have a caller who's called on 01274 214299. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear caller.
Wa alaikum salam. First of all, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences for a primary school teacher. First of all, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences for a primary school teacher who was sadly abducted, and another incident where a Pakistani lawyer was traveling back from a night out with friends, and she was attacked as well. So my deepest condolences and respects are with her family, as well as for Sabina Nessa, primary school teacher, and Elena Mukbul from Ilford. She was traveling 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and sadly she was attacked. And we need to raise awareness of, you're going out, but how are you getting home? Are you getting home by friends? Are they dropping you off? Or Uber taxi, or are you walking home alone? So this message is for our young Muslim brothers and sisters and older Muslim brothers and sisters. You are going out, but please ensure that you're getting home safely.
Jazakallah khair, my brother.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. So just a little reminder. I know many of us will say we live in a free country, we live in a free world, and we should be able to come and go as we please. That can sound very liberalizing, very liberal. It can also sound very idealistic. But there's also an element of reality that we need to think of. You know, when it gets dark and my daughter wants to go to the local shop, I will feel a little bit uncomfortable. So I'll say, but it's a bit dark outside. This will only be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Let your brother go. Or I'll watch you from the door or something if you want to go across, rather than going alone. Because it's about being sensible as well. You know, one is there's certain things I want to do, but, you know, would I just go and do those things? So, and I'm not here trying to blame the victim here. You know, I'm trying to be realistic as to what steps I would take with my children and what steps I would take as a grown adult. I'm not young, I'm an old man. I've spent most of my life has already gone past me now. Less of my life is left. But, I wouldn't, walk home alone, even if it's, 10, 11 o'clock at night outside of my own area. That's not because I'm frightened or anything. That's because I don't want to put myself in harm's way. I don't want to put myself in danger. And a person might say, well, why? Well, what's so dangerous? We live, we should be able to, yes, we should be able to do a lot of things. But unfortunately, we cannot do lots of things because there are people out there that don't want that to happen. So wherever it is, and the more if we're out and about, I don't know what the particular circumstances are with regards to these 2 people, but if we're coming home late, my son is a grown man, a young, strong man. He's nearly, he's just short of 6 foot, good 12, 13 stone. He knows how to look after himself. He knows how to handle himself. And when it gets late, I'm on the case, texting, what time are you coming back, son? And this is when it's sort of, 11 o'clock or something. I'm not talking about 2, 3 in the morning. And unfortunately, we've kind of got this mindset that we can come and go as we please because we live in a so-called, society that will look out. But that's not the case. That is not the case. You see so many situations where vulnerable people get attacked. And when I say vulnerable, I mean people who've been out drinking, particularly women, will get attacked. And it's happened. And, there are so many stories you hear. And these are those that are reported. There are many that won't get reported because the woman will feel uncomfortable reporting it. And it's not just restricted to women only. I'm just saying that they tend to be targeted more because usually the perpetrator is a man. And when the perpetrator is a man, he's going to target somebody that he feels is going to be weaker than him, more vulnerable than him. And also he has the advantage of kind of creeping up on this person, or the element of surprise, or maybe even comes armed with a hammer or some kind of device to strike the person down, and waits for them or follows them until they get to a quiet part of a road, or looks over his shoulder until there's no cars driving around. And if there's no CCTV in that area, then he walks up behind her, hits her, or just grabs her. What is she going to do? And then he drags her into behind some trees or drags her into a field. Well, what can she do? Even if she tries to scream and he punches her, that's it. He could knock her unconscious. Or if he has a knife, what is she going to do? So, why risk something like that? That could affect your whole life. Okay, it can affect your whole life. And people say, yeah, but why shouldn't we? We should be able to go around. Yes, I know. And again, I underline the bit, we should be able to, but we can't. I would like to leave my car doors open and come inside my house. I would like to, leave my house doors open and go to sleep. I would like to not have to buy CCTV for my house. I would like to not have to buy a security alarm for my house. But, if I did do that, people would say, yeah, that's all right, Mufsab, it's all well and good. But the reality is you have no choice, okay? You have no choice. So, this is something that we need to understand. Putting that to one side, as a community and as a society, obviously we should not tolerate any form of abusive behavior or violence towards anybody. When we are out and about, we should be vigilant. Like the brother reminded us, we need to make sure that we're not coming home alone. If for whatever reason we are coming late, that we're coming with somebody, or we've got a lift with somebody, or somebody takes responsibility for dropping everybody else off, or we walk in groups. We know it's going to be dark a lot earlier now. So we come home in a number of people. Make sure your car has been well serviced. That there's enough fuel, petrol in your car, diesel in your car. That you've taken it recently to a garage to check the spark plugs or anything else for that matter. That you're a member of a breakdown service, so that if you do break down, you stay in your vehicle and you phone, so that the breakdown people can come out to you. And they come out very quickly, that if you are a vulnerable person. Depending on where you are parked and who you are, they will come out to you sometimes within 10, 15 minutes. Making sure your mobile phone is charged, so that if you need to ring somebody, you ring somebody. If you're deciding to take a particular route, you let somebody know that this is where you are, this is where you're going, and this is where you will you will arrive at this particular place. And if you do see anything that looks dangerous, somebody hanging about, somebody following, women alone, somebody, whatever, then, all it takes is, if you see something that's happening there and then in front of your eyes, it's 999, because that is if there is immediate danger. There is risk of attack. If, however, it's just suspicion, or you're not sure, there seems to be somebody just kind of hanging about, it's late, you just look out your bedroom window and you just see somebody on the street corner, just stood there 2, 3 in the morning, and you're thinking, what's going on here? It could be he's waiting for a taxi, he's waiting for a lift, it could be an innocent. But, you just looks a bit suspicious, you don't know him from the area. Then there's Crime Stoppers, obviously it's 101 or 0800 555 111. And you can take those steps in order to ensure safety. But like I said, it is not just one thing. It is a number of steps that you can take in order to ensure your own safety and the safety of your loved ones and your friends and your family members. It is essential. Even more so now with winter, it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock and it's dark outside. We've got the weather, it's very cloudy. So it gets dark very, very early. So sometimes even with our children coming back from madrasa, it can be dark. So make sure your kids are with somebody. There's 3, 4, 5 of them coming together. It's not like, one is left alone, walking a significant amount of the journey with nobody else. Again, it's important that children wear high-vis clothing. So maybe something, that reflects on their trainers, or a rucksack which reflects. Again, ensuring children know about how to cross roads, not just to run out in front of roads. If children are dressed in dark colours and they just run out in front of roads, it's very dangerous. Yesterday, I was driving home. It was about 7 p.m. and there was a mother with her son. Son was only, 3 years old, and he was walking on the curb as though he was on a tightrope. And he was walking on the curb as though he was on a tightrope. He was only like 3 years old. And cars were going past him pretty quickly, only about a yard or 2 yards away from the curb, because it's not a big road. Now, if a bigger vehicle like a bus or a truck went past, the wind would be enough to force that child to fall over. And, God forbid what would happen after that. So if we're parents and we're walking our children home, make sure they're away from the curb. Make sure they're stood in the middle of the pavement or closer to the wall. Now, it's these steps that you should take. Always plan for the worst and hope for the best. And inshallah, then things will be all right. And if you're driving, then, look around. Be careful when it's end of school, when it's either children going to maktab, madrasa, or coming back from maktab and madrasa, then drive that bit extra carefully. If you're picking up children outside a masjid or madrasa, then again, be careful. Don't just think about yourself that, I want to get there as close as I can to the front door so my children can jump in and now I'm in a rush to go. Well, hold on a second here, because the guy behind you also had that plan in mind, and the person in front of you has also got that plan in mind, so now you're stuck. So now no point horning and beeping and doing silly 8-point turns in the road so that you can get your way. There are children crossing in between cars. And it takes one, and you can't see, and sometimes we're driving when we've not fully demisted our cars, and you can't see around you. You can't see in front of you through your windscreen. You can't see through the back windscreen because you've just jumped in your car. You're late. You just want to pick your little one up and then drive home, not taking care and due attention. And that little couple of minutes that you think you saved yourself, you're now, you're going to get arrested. You're going to do time. Forget about that. You've taken an innocent child's life. How are you going to live with that? So that reminder, even though it was targeted by our brother towards people coming home late at night, I think it can be easily applied to all that I have just mentioned to you. And I've shared numerous ways forward for you, inshallah. And I'm sure there's many others that have got other ideas as well. We look out for one another. We are a community. We care for one another. Nobody would want to see their own mother cry over a dead child. That woman whose child has died, she is also a mother. Just because she's not our mother, she is a mother. She will feel the same loss for that child as our wives or our daughters or our mothers would have felt when they lost a child. So just because they're not personally known to us, we have less of a care. We are a community. We keep talking about ummah, we are one ummah and we should. And then when it comes to our own streets, and when it comes to our own cities, then we're no longer an ummah. Well, what ummah are we talking about? The one in Philistine, the one in India, the one in Pakistan? Which one are we talking about? Surely the ummah starts from your street, starts from your city, and then spreads beyond. So let's look out for each other, especially in these dark winters, these cold winters. Let's ensure that we're all looked after and we're all safe. So alhamdulillah, we can live another day and we can do some more good deeds. So jazakumullah khair for that call. We still have the 2 questions to deal with. We do have a few minutes left, so I don't even know if I'm going to get to question for today. Might have to save that for tomorrow or next week. But we will have to see, inshallah. If you do want to call, then it's 01274 214299. That's 01274 214299. So question 3, the 2 types of najasa. Okay, so I think this was his maktab homework and he's just got me to do it for him. So the 2 types of najasa, we have najasa haqiqi and we have najasa hukmi. So najasa, which is impurity, can be of a physical or nature or can be of a spiritual nature. So we can be impure physically or we can be impure spiritually. Because as Muslims, we don't just accept that we are an organic physical body. As Muslims, we say that we are both an organic physical body, but we are also a soul, a spiritual side of us. And the soul sits inside this organic part of our body. Okay? So the soul, the bit which makes Amjad, sits inside this physical organic body, and this physical organic body has changed over the last 50 odd years from being a fetus to being a baby to being a toddler to being a young child to being an adolescent to being a teenager to being a young man to being a grown man, a middle-aged man, and then now starting to become an old man, and everything that's happened in between. So my organic body has changed, my physical body has changed, but also hopefully, my spiritual body has changed, in that I would have been ignorant as a child, probably ignorant in my youthful years, until I started to study, learn my deen, then cleansed my soul, prayed more salah, gave more zakah, performed hajj, and in all of these things my soul, my spirit was changing, did some muraqabah, did some reflection, muhasabah, did some dhikr, and continuously walked along this journey on my spiritual journey, and my physical journey is also going on. There would have been phases in my physical journey where I might have put on weight, lost weight, fit, not fit, gone through all sorts of phases. So the physical impurity are things like blood, urine, things of that nature. So we need to make sure that our body and our clothes are free from physical impurities in order for us to pray. But in order to also pray and worship Allah, we also need to be free of ritual impurities, as we call them, which are based on spiritual impurities. So if we are in what's called in a state of najasa, okay, we are in a state of najasa, yani physical, large ritual impurity, significant ritual impurity, in which we need to perform ghusl, a ritual bath, or we could be in a state of minor ritual impurity, in which we need to perform ablution. So there are certain acts which put us into major ritual impurity, which forbid us from literally doing anything of a religious nature until we conduct a ritual bath. And then there is what we call a minor ritual impurity, in which we can still partake in certain religious acts, but we cannot partake in those which we draw close to Allah, like praying salah, reciting the Quran, performing tawaf, whatever. And therefore we need to perform wudu, okay, ablution. So they're the 2, okay, najasa haqiqi and najasa hukmi, a ritual impurity and physical impurity. And when we worship Allah, we have to be free from both physical impurity and also ritual impurity. So now that we've got your homework done, that's question 3 out of the way. Question 4, what is the theory of evolution and what is Islam's view on that? Interesting. So for those that don't know,